Well, hello and welcome to this video playing our first 10-minute game on the live chess server. We don't have an official rating yet, so we're playing MKir and he's 1576 and we're going to go for a kind of King's Indian type setup. So I think we played d6 here just to stop e5 in case White tries to play that immediately, and then bishop g7. Okay, and f4 by White, threatening e5, e5, d takes, e takes, knight moves. Not sure if this is anything we really need to worry about. The other option is to just play e5 ourselves. We're going to sort of give white a target if we play that though. So maybe we'll grab some space in the center with c5 instead. Okay, this seems to run straight into bishop g4 with tempo. So I think I'm going to play that move. And then we'll see what happens after queen g3. That's the most likely move. We can do something like queen d7 and then follow up with knight h5 since the bishop will be protected. Queen d7 doesn't run into knight d5, so I'm going to try that. We still haven't castled yet, but now we've got this move knight h5 attacking the queen again. And we've always got bishop back to e6. We can give White the opportunity to go wrong. We're also going to open the long diagonal. We're protecting the bishop. So, okay, that's not going to work, is it? Because just queen takes g4. Okay, so that was actually what the calculation was based on. So, I don't think we're losing the bishop though, because of f5 we can play. We've got a problem here, haven't we? Because we've got. Okay, so I was looking at g takes and then this bishop is on. So let's actually get that covered so that we can answer f5 with g takes if we want to. I'm a little bit concerned about giving such an obvious target given where the queen is, but I think after knight h5 we can push the queen away. In the long run, what we want to play is something like a6, b5, and then maybe c4 to break open the queen side. Okay, so he does go for this move. Let's just have a look at this intermediate move, knight h5. If knight h5 takes bishop, with my queen on pre, I take the queen, takes queen, and I take the rook in the corner. That looks good. And if queen moves, then what about queen h4 though? Because then after g takes, we're not going to have our knight's going to lose its support. So I think we may just have to take this off here. And we've opened up the g file, which doesn't look good, but at the cost of a pawn for White. So bishop takes f5. Question is whether this is enough for White. I mean, it looks like there's a fairly straightforward attack, but we can play king h8 and rook g8. So maybe this isn't so straightforward. We can also drop back here. So now I think we want to play bishop g6 to close the g file. Now if knight takes f6, White will give up his main attacker. The threat now anyway is knight takes knight, winning a piece. So White has to do something about that. So I think, I'm not sure whether we want to take this. I think what we should do is force White to give up his bishop on b2, and then our king should feel a lot safer. So let's pre-move that recapture, and then okay, so I don't see any reason not to take there. Then we don't have to have any problems with our own. Okay, so let's think about this for a moment. Queen f5 comes with tempo because okay, but then it's just going to be answered by a bishop to d3. Then we have queen. Okay, let's try that because we've actually then got queen e5 check trading off the queens. position is okay. So just blocking there. So we can trade off the queens immediately now anyway, and I think actually that's probably decent. Let's try that. Then I think all the attacking chances for white are gone. So what's happening here? Okay, so just moving the king back. I think we'll just now continue development. We've got f6 now in answer to knight here. We don't have to worry about blocking the bishop because the black-sided bishop's gone. So I think we're a pawn up here. I don't know how healthy this pawn is, but I think something like knight d4 now, attacking bishop and knight. If the knight trade happens, then I quite like black's position now. So I'm planning on something like c takes to clamp down on these squares here. This keeps all of these files closed. Okay, so the b pawn is under attack. Don't think we have anything better than rook b8 right now. But then we want to try and... Okay, that's interesting, because I want to break this up anyway. So I think b5 makes sense now. We're threatening, obviously, b takes a, and if rook takes, if a b, then the rook gets up to the 5th, which is decent. Okay. I think we just play a6 now, so that there's... Oh, that will give a target, actually, to this bishop. So maybe we don't need to be that hasty. Let's just think about how we're going to actually do this. We can play b4 actually, which again kind of clamps things down. I think I quite like b4 here. And then potentially we have moves like rook b5 to just win this pawn. So what happens on rook b5 now? The pawn moves to a6 and can be protected. So this means if by playing a6 now, we can force white to go passive for the defense of the a pawn. So let's try that, because bishop here is not possible. Okay, so he's going on the defensive, which is kind of what we want here. And then our plan is to go something like f5 and then e4. So let's see now. This is quite an interesting move. Something like rook c8 and then rook b5. Let's do this, I think. This looks nice. I mean, white could try and play his own attack on the b pawn, but... So my idea is something like rook b5, then to c5, target this weak pawn here. Okay, I'm not too worried about that actually. I think that that's really a move. So what about rook c5? I'm not sure what's better. Play rook b5? I think rook b5 is better. And then we've got rook here coming next move. So this isn't really with tempo because this pawn is defended, but we are threatening here rook c5 winning this pawn. Okay, so that's what he's actually going for now. So this move here threatens the c pawn. I'm not sure if we benefit by going here and forcing the rooks to go passive first. I think we maybe do actually. And then the rook comes off the h pawn. So now something like rook c3 is very interesting, because then rook c5 is coming, and it may be difficult actually to defend this. But you can bring the rook back to c1, I guess. But then our plan is something like e6, f5, e4, and just pushing through. Because I think if we play rook c5, we have rook a4. And white can win this pawn. Okay, that's interesting. This move looks good to me now. We have to look always for some tactics here. I mean, there's stuff like captures on. Or I think let's play this, force the rook behind. Rook c1 looks pretty much forced to me. You could play bishop here, but that's really passive. Okay, so rook c1, and now Can we just push on now with this move? E4, threatening to get a pass pawn. If takes, bishop takes, with lots of pressure on this pawn here. I think this looks good. I think this looks good. I mean, we are going to leave this. Okay, you just took that very quickly, but I can't believe that you can take this a6 pawn here with impunity, as it were. Okay, so that's that. So now we want to push on with d4. If takes, we're winning a piece. So I think this again looks pretty good. We're going to take on c2 with the pawn, because we've now got four things attacking c2. So I think we're winning material here, even if it's just a pawn. If I were white, I might just go all in and go for rook a4 to try and pick up the b5 pawn, but this feels bad because this attack on this capture of the c pawn will be with tempo hitting the bishop. But maybe that's where things stop. But then the bishop comes here, and then we have rook takes h3. Okay, so he has gone all in, as it were. Let's just have a look at the sacrifice first. Rook takes c2, forcing bishop takes, rook takes check, pawn. But then we can't do anything about that, and we can't protect this pawn either. Just look at this capture here. We've actually got, I haven't even seen this, but we've actually got d2 here. That looks interesting. d2, forcing the rook to move, and then we take, this looks better actually. Why didn't we think of that? This forces something like rook b1 or rook a1, and then we get to take the c2 pawn. And this is forking bishop and rook. Okay, so now we're getting c2 with check, and now we can actually force the promotion, I think, because we're threatening. Yeah, this looks good. I think we don't need to calculate any further than this. Just rook c1. I mean, king b2, capture twice. The capture on b1, and then we queen. I don't think white has anything here. You can take on b5, but we're going to capture. Yeah, I don't think this helps. Actually, this is mate, surely, isn't it? No, it's not mate, but it is. It's going to force you back here to a1, and then takes here, and then queening with mate. Good. Okay, nice. Alright, let's pause the game there. So we're going to have a look at the game, but focusing more on the middle game and the tactics rather than the opening theory, because we'll do that separately. So, I think in this position here, we had intended to play knight h5, but missed that queen takes g4 was possible. So when I planned this move here, queen d7, that was with that intention. So if I'm not going to be able to play knight h5, I probably don't want to play queen d7 because the bishop maybe wants to come back to that square. So let's just maybe need to take a little extra moment there. Just think about that, because this is one of those positions where if you're not careful you can lose a piece having it trapped. So well, that was a tactical solution, but here we thought maybe f5 by white. Now, because if g takes f5, we have queen takes g7, and then after rook g8, the queen comes to h6. I don't think we have anything concrete there. So does f5 by this win? Maybe not. Maybe not. Let's have a look at this. Let's bring the analysis board up. CPU's off. That's good. So then f5. We have knight h5. The queen comes to. If we just play a normal move like queen back to e3. Then we have takes, 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 and that's fine, although g4's coming. Can get very complicated very quickly. When we're going to get some material here, we've also got stuff like bishop d4. I mean, black has a lot of activity here. Let's think about Let's try and play queen to... Let's try this move. So... Okay, that protects the g4 pawn. We've got bishop here. GH. Rook g8, threatening the knight. Bishop g2. Queen e6 check. It's getting very complicated very quickly. Maybe we can put the queen... This doesn't... Maybe we can play this. No, you can't play that because that's on prise, so... King here looks like it might be forced. Then we have the check. Knight blocks. This feels very close to winning actually. Rook takes b2, queen takes b2. Very interesting. I can't calculate that much further, I think. I think maybe there's going to be some tactical means for White to get out of this after. So there was this knight. Oops, let's go back. F5, knight h. This is what I originally thought of. Queen here, so that if g takes, the queen, the knight is on prise. But then I think we just play knight. Well, not just, but okay. Then we can play bishop f6. Maybe back to this square. Now this might be tricky now because I'm not sure if we've got anything else here. We can play bishop takes this square. This is probably might work. Bishop takes here. Bishop takes attacks the rook. Knight f6 with tempo. Queen say e2. Okay, not queen e2. Let's rather play queen f2 to stay on the f5 pawn. G takes. E takes. Then we've got bishop d5 protected by the knight, hitting the queen. Is there any other squares the queen can go to? Knight f6. Could try queen f4. Let's still try this line. Still got this move. But then queen back. No, that doesn't. This might work now because the bishop. But we have knight takes here, check. Knight takes. If fg, we take the e pawn with check and move our knight. So this move and then this move, and I think again we're just about getting away with this. So okay, maybe not this is all right. Let's go back a little bit. So we played this move and got h3, bishop came up, then castled, and we got castled to protect this bishop so that after f5 we would have this bishop protected. That's what happened in the game, and so White gave up a pawn for some initiative. We had the knight coming in, and this didn't look quite right to me. What we actually got here was bishop g6, but maybe we can be even more ambitious here. If we play knight here, we're losing to mate, so we have to be a bit careful about that. So we went back. So this knight is, I mean, we have got knight h5 here, which looks like a bit of a crazy move, but maybe it's okay. We're hitting the queen. Queen takes g7 is obviously not possible. What do we want to play as black? Do we want to try and keep on this square? Maybe. Then this is pinning everything. Yeah, this is pinning everything and threatening queen takes knight. Then we have to play bishop here anyway. I think we're just wasting a tempo doing that. Okay, so that's no good. So knight in. So maybe. I mean, we can continue with development. Just play knight c6. That's also fine because after knight takes f6, we just play e takes. I think bishop g6 is okay. Now we're actually threatening concretely this move. So we're kind of we're preventing white from pushing the H pawn. So knight takes, bishop. We play bishop takes, and we can play e takes, but then you're not getting rid of this bishop, which may be dangerous, and you're just damaging your pawn structure with no compensation. So that's why I wanted to play this, and I felt that the best move here was just bishop takes f6 to ruin black's pawns. After king b1, we just traded the bishops and queen, and now I think black's probably on top now, because I don't think there's any danger, and I think that you know, we're slightly ahead in development here, so I think black's fine now. After d3, we traded here. I'm not sure about this trade. I don't know if we need to do this. I think maybe we can play a bit more ambitiously with knight c6 into e5 or d4. I think after the trade, black's still better, but maybe we're giving white lots of targets here. Again, this move doesn't seem to me necessary. I think rather the king would rather be in the centre. The black squared bishop's gone, so I think it's just a wasted move. I think knight f3 would be good, and I think white stands worse, but not much worse. And then I think white began to lose the thread a bit here, really. I think black's position got, rapidly quite a lot better here. a4 doesn't do much. Could just gives white a target, really. And then I was quite pleased with the plan we came up of doubling on the c5 file while pressuring the a5 pawn and then breaking through in the centre. Okay, so that's the game. Well, let's just have a look at this opening now. So we have the knight f3, most common move is d5. We played knight f6. This is going to transpose quite often. White played b3, and already we're into new territory, so I guess that's probably where we have to stop. I mean, it may turn into something that's been seen before. Let's just play through a couple more moves. g6, bishop b2 would be normal here. White plays e4. Okay, we have a game here. After bishop after d6, it's maybe coming back into some games. No one too famous after d6. Bishop b2. Okay, we're getting a few more games now, so it's obviously transposing back into maybe an e4 opening or bishop or b3 or something. Bishop g7. Let's just have a look here. We've got 4 games. We have d4 played by white with 2 black wins. Bishop d3 played by white with a black win, and knight d5 played by white with a white win. Just go back one move here. We've still got these 4 games. It looks like in all of these games, black is playing bishop g7. Yeah, that's right. So black bishop g7, and then we've got. Let's see if white played any of these moves: d4, bishop d3, or knight d5. Played f4. Okay, so that's where it really did divert from theory. If we just think about why that would be. I mean, d4's claiming the centre. It's stopping black. It's making it a little bit harder for black to claim all of this into c5 or e5. f4 doesn't strike me as being a bad move, but on the other hand, it is weakening some of these squares around the king, and it's allowing black to play moves like bishop g4. I mean, we could actually play bishop g4 now. And in fact, that feels like a pretty good move. Let's just switch on the evaluation and see what moves it wants black to play in this position. We just think about candidate moves for black for a moment. We've got bishop g4 with tempo, developing the c8 bishop. We've got e5, but I think that blocks in our bishop and gives white a target, so I didn't want to play it. We have the move I played, which is c5. Could play something like bd7, but again, I'm not sure about that because we actually have the opportunity to play knight c6 here once we've advanced the c5 pawn. So those I think are the main moves. Let's switch on and see what the computer likes here. Ah, interesting. It likes just winning a pawn. Of course it does like. Of course it likes winning a pawn. Okay, so it's just a clear tactical refutation for this move f4 is that knight takes e4 is on, because after knight takes e4 we have bishop takes b2. So didn't see that. Wonder how I could have seen that. I mean, once these bishops are opposite each other, we want to be looking for tactical motifs involving the knight having to move before this bishop receives any protection. The same's true for white. You know, if I play something like knight g4 here, then knight d5 would come with tempo. Ah, no, that's not right. That's the wrong way around, isn't it? Would be more a question of, yeah, doesn't quite work quite so well in white's favour actually. I'm not sure how this works. Okay, so interesting. Not a very well trodden opening path. Okay, thanks for watching this game.